to all you great campaigners out there. Welcome to scenario number 3 from Roads to Gettysburg II. Roger is on the road this weekend, so I am taking a solo opportunity today, which works out pretty well because scenario 3 is in fact a solo scenario. It was designed that way, and I'm going to go over it with you today. It should be pretty brief. I cannot imagine that this scenario episode is going to be very long, maybe 20 to 30 minutes. Probably a bunch of that is going to be just talking about the scenario and some of the challenges therein. If you've not played it before, this is the same exact scenario as the original Roads to Gettysburg printing by Avalon Hill. It was at that point scenario number 4, so they've done some swapping around. As we saw when Roger and I first did Meade Moves North, that was the original scenario number 3, and that got bumped into the first place position. And the change they made to the Stuart scenario went from Where's Stuart to Stuart Rides North. That was still number 2. This one now is still number 3. And then they took that original first day of Gettysburg scenario and they moved that into the 4th slide. So we'll be doing that next. Obviously, with some of the retooling of these scenarios and moving things around, I think that perhaps helps the flow a little bit. But what intrigued me when I pulled out my old copy of Avalon Hill's Roads to Gettysburg, I saw that there were two solo scenarios in there with the Where's Stuart and this one. And I think that speaks volumes about the nature of wargaming perhaps in the early 90s, that they expected players to maybe want to do a little more solo play, or at least that was the expectation. But with all of the avenues that we have, both online and just a wider embracing, I think we're perhaps coming into another renaissance period. Wargaming and hex and counter games and all that stuff, and I hope perhaps maybe that Roger and I have been contributing to that, especially with great campaigns. That's the height of ego there, but maybe, who knows? I think one of the challenges for me today is to try to cut out any ums, uhs, ahs, and bleh, and try to make a cohesive solo, because I'm used to having Roger to bounce off against, and when I just talk by myself, this goes back into the tutorial mode, so I find that pregnant pauses help me with the ums, so I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to pull up the new scenario information, and I will compare and contrast the setup, the design, and then I'll talk about some of the challenges as the solo player for you. But here it is in all of its glory, Scenario 3, the Confederate High Tide. This is a conjectural scenario simulating a Confederate attempt to seize the Pennsylvania capital of Harrisburg. Although the plan was not implemented in reality, it very nearly was. Indeed, Ewell's Second Corps at Carlisle stood ready to march towards the Susquehanna before Lee's unexpected order to rejoin the Army of Northern Virginia reached it. And as it has noted there, this is a solitaire scenario. I will only be playing the Confederate units. The Union units will not activate. You can see where we're zoomed in. This is the north map only. It is 3 turns, June 29th to July 1st. And because of this, once again, it reinforces in the special rules, it's solitaire. So don't move any Union units unless otherwise told to. The permanent fort right here under Ewan and Brisbane is the permanent fort of Camp Russell, or Fort Washington, I guess is what they're calling it here. The difference is they put a special unit on there just so to indicate it, and this will be treated like a permanent Union fort. We'll talk about that momentarily. To differentiate just having units there at fort level 3, because that has some specific nuances that they address in section 13 of the advanced rules. Otherwise, all the units are there. Knipe, he's not entrenched at the moment, and you can see the layout here. Ewell has 2 divisions immediately with him. He's got Rhodes and Johnson, and he's got A. Jenkins as a solo cav, and way down over here at York, as we've seen previously, is Early. I have to think that with him being that far away, I don't know that he's necessarily going to be part of this equation. So what I like to do when I come to a scenario like this, I've never played this one before, and especially as a solitaire endeavor, I like to look at all the moving pieces and trying to figure things out and see what they want. Now, originally, there was designed a victory point schedule, whereas you captured each individual piece, you got a certain number of victory points, and then there was a straight up victory condition table here. I'm pulling that up in my book. A Confederate marginal victory for this was 55 victory points, and that meant you needed to capture Harrisburg, Marysville, Bridgeport. You had to do a whole bunch of things. And in the retooling process, I can see that they have, and I think smartly, just converted all of that into the very basic win-loss condition of right here. You just take Harrisburg or you don't. If you take it, the Confederates have accomplished their goal and they won, and if not, the Union side wins, and you set it up and you try again. The one note I didn't talk about here was the Union retreats, and that just basically says that any units that are on this side, if they are forced to retreat in combat, they will always, Yates will attempt to go back across the Susquehanna. So will Ewan and Brisbane here. Knipe will also. But if they're already on the east side, so attacking J. Smith in Harrisburg, then I, as the Confederate player, can make them retreat anywhere I want, and that means I could send them back over to the west side, get them out of the way. So that is the only nuance there on that. But that's it. I mean, there's literally nothing to this, right? It's a good exercise. It's 3 turns, so that means with your activation, you start to learn the economy of activations. And what I mean by that, going back to all the way to the beginning when we talk about the tutorials that I did originally for this, when you suss out a scenario, especially one as brief as this, you have to look at what you're ultimately trying to accomplish. That is indicated for us right here. We want to take Harrisburg. And how quickly can we do it, or are we able to do it? And what resources do we have to accomplish that task? And I think this is true of any and all war games out there. And at the operations level, you have to have some reality checks because the die roller. And just because you want something in your heart does not mean that the die roller is going to behave in any way to help you accomplish that goal. And longtime Great Campaigns players and watchers of this channel know that that's just one of the truisms of the universe. So I noted some challenges for this one because I looked at it, having never played it before. I wanted to come at it fresh, and I just took a 10,000 foot view, and especially with the way that they've introduced Camp Russell here with the Fort Washington element. These are the challenges that come to me right off the bat. So I want to get Ewell and his 2 divisions, and maybe early, but let's just for the moment, let's leave early out of the equation. I mean, if he gets there, great. If not, but we'll talk about why that doesn't really matter. The first decision the Confederate player has to make is, are you going to go straight forward to Camp Russell and try to get over the bridge to Harrisburg? Or are you going to try to circumvent, go around? There are, I think, some pluses to the latter on that one, but we're going to look at each one mathematically and see what's going on here. Let's look first at the challenge of a head-on assault. There are a couple things. One, you have got to span this distance. Again, that's the die roller. We have 3 turns, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get up anywhere close on the first day. But presuming that we can, you have to decide if you're going to come around Knipe or just go right at him. And if you come around him and still face Ewan and Brisbane, then here are the big picture challenges or the problems with attacking that Union fort. And I've noted them, they're no particular order, but in the rules specifically, they indicate that if the Confederates, let's just for the moment, we'll put Ewell up here, and let's say that Ewell is doing a frontal assault on Fort Washington. The first glaring problem is when attacking Union forts, Confederate leaders do not get to use their tactical advantage. And as you can see, Ewell's a 4 and Ewan and Brisbane are 0. So that +4 is critically important. You need to be able to outsmart your opponent. And these little Pennsylvania militia who are holed up in Fort Washington, that has no bearing. You do not get to use that. It's the most glaring neon red problem that I see for attacking directly into Fort Washington. The other issue is, and this is the one that I think impacts the decision whether or not to bring early into the mix, is I'm going to put Johnson over here just to indicate the issue here. There are no flanks against Union permanent forts. So this whole setup right here that I'm doing, normally this would, trying to get that juicy +4. Well, I'm not even going to get that extra hex because it's on the other side of the river and it's uncovered in the first place. So there's no possible way that I can get 6 covered hexes on this, right? So the best I could do is 5 covered hexes, which is a +2. That gets me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, maybe I could get a +2 on this, but in that situation, because of the special rule, that +2 completely comes off. That's a lot of work for no return on investment, and I just think that that's another con in going against Fort Washington. The other big problem here is that they have an intrinsic +2 of manpower on top of whatever the Union units inside have. So in this case, we see that there's 2 individual artillery pieces multiplied by 3, that's 6, plus another. Well, that's terrible. When I look at the fact that these are in clear, that means I'm going to get a -2 artillery differential. So that's also a poor tactical issue for me to go against Fort Washington. And as I mentioned, the whole approach around Knipe, you can do a quick attack on him and get him out of the way, but you're adding the element of chance and possibility from the die roller that something will go wrong and you will not be able to get the units into play without one getting disorganized and fatigue level 4 on the first day. And time pressure is palpable in this game. I did move some counters around yesterday just to get an idea of what it looked like and what my recording approach would be today. Just in the 2 times that I played with it, they were vastly different. And one made me smile and one made me cry. I'm going to do this live here for you, and you're going to get to see what's going on. And I'm going to take the bruises as they come. And we all know that the die roller knows me and it hates me. And thus, you're going to get to see what's going on. The other option then is to come up here and attack Yates. And here are the pros for attacking Yates. They are entrenched at level 3 fort. So that 6 becomes an 18. And they have 3 pieces of artillery. But the most significant factors are I get to use the tactical bonus of the leadership. And that means if I bring Ewell and everybody up there, then potentially I could do it in a couple of different ways. I could make one big attack, do a full assault with both units. That's a lot of manpower. That's 14, that's 30 manpower versus 18. And this is where we encourage everyone to look at the combat chart, and the attack of 30 column versus the defense of 18 column is not very promising. There's a lot of things that could go wrong, especially with a poor die differential. You could easily lose. Let's see, I roll, I've got a +4 or 5 differential, and I roll a 1, and they've rolled a 6, and they would just get D'd out. So that's not something, that's no bueno. Another option is you can get up there and you can take a couple of shots, and this is the 1-2 punch method, where you do an assault, it gets repulsed, but then they have the success of D'ing out Yates. And if that's the case, then they will flip to potentially a 4, and they go from being an 18 down to a 12 manpower. That's now a little bit better when you attack with the second unit, because at least the ratio is covered, and you're more likely to succeed in that second one. And if it's really successful, then you will drive them, they'll have to go across. If you look at a route in this case, they have to do a minimum of 4 hexes. Well, they have to go here, they have to go here, they cannot go here yet, they have to go here, so that's 3, and then they would go here for 4. And that's exactly what happened when I was playing with this yesterday. Is they get to 4904, they're going to do the bare minimum, but now they're blocking that zone of control here. So in a situation like this, you have to factor in, you've got to win at least 2 or 3 combats to completely win this game. You've got to beat Yates once or maybe twice, then you've got to beat J. Smith, or in this case, you do the frontal assault. You've got to defeat them here, and then you've got to defeat them here. So you're looking at a minimum of 2 combats successful combats, possibly even 3 successful combats to win this game. It can be done, but it is challenging. That's why we play, as we always say. So introducing now the die roller into the mix, that gives you a little bit of agency, especially on the first big choice of whether you go directly for Harrisburg or you try to do a northern approach. I like the northern approach. That's what I'm going to utilize today. We'll all get to see it together, and maybe it will work. With that being the case, I'm not even going to bother with early. There's really nothing that he's going to be able to do to come up and supplement the manpower because Ewell's going to be up with Yates. I won't have him down there. I could potentially move him down as a last gasp, but I mean, even looking at early down here, he is only an 11 manpower. So 11 manpower against this 27 that's entrenched here is probably not very promising. That's what I'm going to do just initially. I'm not going to worry about him. I may move him just to keep the action cycle going, but when this is all said and done, I would love to hear your own personal anecdotes on this one. Any encouragement or corrections or anything like that. That's what the YouTube discussion forum is for down there. And if you see this out on social media and you want to talk about it out there, that's awesome too. But that's all there is to it. I have now jibber jabbered for 20 minutes on this whole thing, and the whole game will probably take less than 20 minutes. So I'm going to go through this now, and here we go. So turn number 1, I will activate everyone here. It will go to fatigue level 1, and you'll activate so he gets +2 to this die roll, and the roll is 7. Not bad. So we will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Johnson will follow behind. Take them fatigue level 2. And movement 6. Also not bad. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And Johnson will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll take him up to Limbs Gap. Just that way I have 2 approaches, and that way I can kind of get one into position before the other one. I will take fatigue level 3. Now extended marches become important. So here's movement. Oh, it's getting slower. Johnson goes first, extended march. He flips. Boo! Go 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's a 10. That actually helps me a little bit here with the roads coming in. His extended march. He's okay. So he'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. So now my options are to just call it a day and save that extra fatigue for tomorrow, or I can go to fatigue 4, try to at least clear them out of the way, and I'll have less to do on day 2. And these are not the worst factors to consider, but if I did an assault with both of them, it would be 26 to 18. Again, we'll look back at the chart here. So this is the top end of this column right here. That's the best way that I can do this and still get coverage for the manpower. Obviously, getting early way up here at this point is probably not enough time. So I think, what would you do in this situation? But I think I've come all this way, no harm, no foul. If I roll poorly, yeah, that's on me. But I'm going to take them to 4, and I will attempt an assault with Ewell, with both Rhodes and Johnson. And here is the roll. And it's a 4 against his 6, so they both can come in and participate. So looking quickly at the math, it is an assault of +1. It's an additional 4 for Ewell. That's 5. Manpower is covered. I have 9 pieces of artillery to 3. Well, that might actually give me a positive die roll. So let's look at the combat modifiers, and he's enrolling, and I've got a +6. So I will roll a die, and on an even, I will get to add +1, and I do not, sadly. So just +1 for assault, +4 for tactical. That is a total of +5. And I'm going to roll the 2d6. The Confederate will be the second number. So +5, here we go. And it is a 9 to 4. 9 to 4, so that's a +4 differential. And at least I have the benefit of getting him out of there and demoralized. So he's a 6, and it's a +4, gives him 1 DR. All right, he loses the manpower, but more importantly, I get him out of the way. And I came in with 26, and I lose 1 FA. Again, manpower losses don't matter in this one, but more importantly, they're not D'd out. So that's very, very helpful. So he loses this, he becomes that, he loses a manpower, and gets 3, and he must go 1 away, and then 2 away, and then 3 away, and 4 away. That at least clears the path. I'm going to take the 1 off of Rhodes, I believe. So he will just lose 1, and I will take the hex with both of them. So I've cleared the pathway over the Susquehanna. Now the next step on day 2 is to do something about Yates. And this is because of that and the size differential, I can perhaps attack on the march and set it up so I can clear him of the way and then move on towards Harrisburg. So I'm feeling pretty good right now, but it's the end of day 1. I will recover the units. Day 2 begins, and I will do exactly that. I don't have to worry about artillery on Yates anymore. So Ewell is going to activate Rhodes. He's going to go to fatigue level 2. And here's a march of +2. That's what we love. That's fine. Here's an extended march. He's okay. So Ewell and Rhodes will go 1, 2, and 3 there. All right. Let's go ahead and activate Rhodes and Johnson for movement, because I need to get Rhodes moving before he gets into that dangerous exhausted +3. So here's movement +2. Excellent. All right, so Ewell will go first, and we're going to have Rhodes check his extended march of now +1. Oh no, he flips. My superior advantage numbers have now flipped. That's annoying, as Roger would say. But that's still not an untenable attack. We've got I'm going to use a normal attack on this one. So let me put my movement here. I've got 7 movement points. I think, yeah, we're going to just use a normal attack on this one. So it will be +4 for tactical, and we've got a 3-to-1 ratio of 10 to 3. So we've got a +2 for that. So I'm looking at a +6. Artillery is not a factor. Nothing else matters. Flank does not count in this one because even if I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are all going to come off. So the flank is not a factor here. So I'm looking at a +6 total. Here's the die roll, and I significantly destroy. It is a +7 on 3, which is 1 DR, but more importantly, they're already east of here. I can send them anywhere I want, so I'm just going to send them off map. And I could take the hex, but I'm not going to. And I can still use the remaining 5 movement points that I have. So I'm going to have go 1, 2, 3, and 4 to there. And then Johnson's got an extend march. He fails. Boo! He loses. And he'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, that's terrible. Cannot get into the next hex. So we will activate Johnson one more time to fatigue level 3. Here's movement, although that doesn't matter. And then extended march of +1. Okay. And joins them in the hex. Now they're both at fatigue level 3. I've got 1 fatigue level left. I could potentially just knock out the game right here, or I could wait and just freshen them up, but I guess there's really no point because they're already both flipped and exhausted. So with 19 to 15, I might as well take a crack at it because there's no permanent fort here, and the same things might apply. So I could get lucky, or I could, Doing them piecemeal doesn't make sense because I don't know. And this is another one where the arguments will go back and forth about, do you do it as two individual, like I described, get one to soften them, but not have as many modifiers, and then do a second one. So in this case, let's see. Let me think on this for a moment. Yeah, I've thought about it, took a sip of coffee, and I think what I will do is try, I'll do two individual ones. We'll do a couple of waves at Harrisburg, and I think I'll start with Johnson because he's got all the artillery. So I will take him to 4, and I will attempt an assault with Ewell. The assault comes off. So now we're going to look at a +1 for assault and a +4 for tactical. So I'm at +5, and artillery is covered because I've got 7 pieces to 3. So that's at least +2, no problem. It's a no effect. But I'm underwater on the ratio. They've got 15, I've got 9, but that's more than half. So it's just a -1. That offsets my assault. And I'm looking at just a final attack of +4. So here's the +4 attack, Union Confederate. Oh no! 6-1! Why do you hate me? Always with the 6-1. Okay. Okay. That's fine. This is the Montgomery 6-1 split because it always happens. Well, I'm not counting victory points for manpower losses here, but obviously I have 9 manpower and I was down by 1, so I would lose 1D. So he will lose a manpower for the next day. That's important. And then they're just fatigued, which is not helpful. I needed them to be organized, but he will take a manpower loss, and that's fine. Okay, well then we'll take another shot here with Rhodes. He'll go to 4, and we'll make an assault attempt, and it fails. Boo! Okay, so the last 100 yards getting into Harrisburg are proving difficult, but that's okay. I've got one more day to do this, and let's do that. So day 3 is now here, and now looking at my 18 to 15, I could try 2 attempts again. I think that's the better play, is to give me 2 possibilities rather than just shooting it all at once, and if it fails, then I'm completely stuck. But you're here, you're seeing it live. I've been a victim of a 6-1 mush split, and that happens in great campaigns. But we will repeat the attacks what we did yesterday. So Johnson will go to 2, and here's the assault attempt with Ewell. It comes off. So as we said, now everything's the same. It's just a +4 attack. Here's the +4. 6-1 split! Yay! I love this game. Even in solitaire, I can lose. This is awesome. Okay, so he's D'd out. You saw it here first, folks. I cannot replicate this. Even if I tried to do this with editing and everything, I couldn't. This is just perfect. All right, he's going to get a couple of fatigues, and he's going to lose manpower. So attack that. And then the last gasp effort here, Johnson is going to take Rhodes to fatigue level 2. And here's the assault attempt. It comes off. So this one is also underwater, but we don't have enough artillery. So this one's going to be a little different. It's +1 for assault, +4 for that. So we're at a 5 up, and then down 1 for artillery, and down 1 for ratio. So it's 5 up and 2 down for a +3 attack. Here is the +3 attack, possibly for the game. 5-1. Okay. Well, I rolled 3 1s in combat. Fantastic. So even when I'm not playing Roger, I am destined to fail. And I got the trifecta of mushes today. Come on, Kryptonite. So I'm going to take a sip of coffee here and enjoy myself and my failure. And I will leave it to all of you to make merriment of such unfortunate cosmic kismet here in our wonderful discussion forums down there. So that's it. That's I could probably spend another 15 minutes setting this up and doing it again, but I think you at least see how the mechanics of it work, and that makes it a little easier for me to edit. I think raw, I'm at 34 minutes here, so I'll probably cut this down to about 30, 25 minutes, something like that. But it's a nice, concise aperitif of a scenario for you. But in final discussions on it, the die roller is the motto of this channel, right? The dice always win, and the die roller in this case did not want me to take Harrisburg with 3 failed attacks at 1 each. So that's the Cosmos telling me something. Obviously, A. Jenkins, not a factor because I don't have an army leader, so I can't use him in some of these bigger attacks. I could try to go for manpower losses, but again, because the way this is designed, it's an all or nothing deal with Harrisburg. So if that prospect does not work, then there's no point in utilizing Early and A. Jenkins. They are there as window dressing, I think. I hope you enjoyed all this. You know, what are you going to do? You just play the game, and sometimes the game plays you. But I will thank you all for watching this very brief episode, and Roger will be back next week. We'll move on to scenario number 4, which is the first day at Gettysburg, and that is just a one-turner, so he and I will probably be playing that very quickly back-to-back, because it's a finite number of pieces, and there's not a lot of real estate, and most of it is already preset for you. So come on back next time. Thank you, as always, for watching me and my horrible bad luck. And I appreciate the comments, the critiques, and the wonderful feedback and the support. And if you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is just by clicking the like button. If you've not done that, do it right now. Give me your thumbs. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, I'm curious how you're seeing all of these. I guess you're just a Civil War fan, and these are showing up in your YouTube algorithm, I guess. But if you subscribe, you'll see them every time I drop a video, and they're usually on Tuesday mornings. That's my schedule. I'm also showing you the wonderful, generous people who kick in $1 or $2 into the tip jar below. That link is there. Do not feel obligated. But between me and you, this computer is getting a little long in the tooth, and I'm starting to look at shopping for a new one to get some new production quality in there. So if you want to help with that, that would be awesome. But please, it's not expected, but absolutely appreciated. And that's it. So from the Confederate High Tide, I send you off. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.